have the various roles. So our grammarian is going to be Donovan. Could you give a description of what the grammarian does?
Okay. The grammarian does, they do the rule of the day, and they also, sometimes they do the all capital as well. Thank you.
Okay. And what is the word of the day is truculent. Okay. Is it? It's truculent. Yes.
Okay.
Truculent.
Truculent.
Eager and quick to argue or fight.
The other role is the timer, which will be done by Diego.
The timer's purpose is to keep track of everyone's time on the stage. If you're doing a prepared speech, usually the minimum time frame is 5 minutes, the yellow time frame is 6 minutes, and 7 minutes is the red zone. And that essentially means you should wrap up within 30 seconds because it's important to communicate your ideas in a very time-efficient manner while also still communicating a message that you want to get across to everyone. For table topics, which is the opportunity for people to speak more impromptu, the green zone is 1 minute, 1 minute and 30 seconds is the yellow zone, and the red zone is 2 minutes. Thanks, Heather.
Thank you, Diego. And lastly, before we start the speeches, our table topics master will be Justin.
Yes, so I'll be preparing a list of questions that I'll present to the group here, and a selected person will come up and give a 2-minute speech on the long end on that topic. It's impromptu. It's a good opportunity to learn how to speak on the fly, think on your feet.
Thanks, Justin. And we also have 2 evaluators. The first evaluator is going to be Lawrence, and the second evaluator for the second speech will be Cody. Did you have something to say, Cheyenne?
I just said I was going to do the all counter.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Did you want to describe it?
Yes, the all counter will be keeping track of filler words, but you know, I think, and I'll give you a summary of those for each of your speeches at the end.
Okay, great. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get into the first speech, which will be given by Maurice. Maurice is one of the kind of veterans of this club. He's been here, I guess, maybe second longest. He was here before me, so he's a very great speaker, and he will be giving a speech on how to be a distinguished club. So please welcome Maurice.
Fellow Toastmasters and honored guests, tonight I will be presenting how to be a distinguished club. A Toastmasters Club is a friendly environment, and it should be a fun environment, for people to give their speeches. We don't heavily criticize people during their speeches. But Toastmasters wouldn't be anything more if we did not have goals for each speaker in communication and leadership. So it's not enough to just give a speech and everybody enjoy it. It's like school. You go through first grade, second grade, third grade, etc., all the way up to 12th grade, and then if you want to go to college, do that. So in Toastmasters, the speakers are evaluated and they have achievements. And I'll get into the achievements and the awards as we go further along in this topic. Another thing before I go into the slide presentation is a Toastmasters Club typically has a lot of turnover, a moderate amount of turnover. So not only are we here to give good speeches, but we need to encourage more membership because of that turnover. And the turnover is for various reasons. You might get another job somewhere else, or you might get too busy with other things to go to a Toastmasters meeting. And there's various other reasons for the turnover, but turnover is a fact in Toastmasters Club. Again, we're not just here to give speeches, we're here to have goals, not only goals for each individual member, but we have club goals. And this is where we'll get into the Distinguished Club Program. And if you look at the slide, if you can see it, but I'll go over each. And this is the old system. We're under Pathways now. We have less than 2 years left on the old system, but I will go over the awards for the old system. You have a leadership track, and you have a communication track. On the communication track, you have what is called the competent communicator. And with the competent communicator, you get a manual, and you have various speeches, which slowly increases in skill level, from your icebreaker, and then you have vocal variety, use visual aids. There's 10 speeches in the competent communicator. So when you complete the competent communicator, you turn in your data to the Vice President of Education, and he'll process it through Toastmasters International website, and you'll get your CC award, or Competent Communicator Award. After the Competent Communicator, you have what is called the Advanced Communicator Bronze, which is 10 more speeches, but the advanced manuals contain 5 speeches. So you complete 2 of those 5 speech books, and maybe a few other tasks, if I remember correctly. And then you'll be awarded with the Advanced Communicator Bronze. And then you have 2 more awards that you can achieve, which are manual speeches along with other tasks, Advanced Communicator Silver and Advanced Communicator Gold. Now onto the leadership track, you have what is called Competent Leader. And in order to earn a Competent Leader, most of it is just taking on a role during a Toastmasters meeting, like the timer, the evaluator, table topics master, and there's some other things outside of a club meeting role that you can achieve toward the competent leader, such as being a chairman or participating in a speech contest, which takes place twice a year. Complete all those tasks, turn it into the Vice President of Education, and you'll get your Competent Leader Award. And above a Competent Leader, you also have Advanced Leader Bronze, which is 2 presentations from other manuals, along with attending an officers meeting and being a club officer for at least 6 months. And then above that is Advanced Leader Silver, which consists of being a district leader, such as area director, division director, the club growth leader in the district. And there's a few other tasks that you have to achieve on top of that, such as the high performance leadership, which is another manual. So when you get those achievements, you will earn your Advanced Leader Silver. So once you get your Advanced Leader Silver and your Advanced Communicator Silver, the Vice President of Education can fill out the application for you to get the Distinguished Toastmaster, and that's the highest achievement in Toastmasters. I mentioned that this is the old system. The new system is Pathways, and we're going to get into the Distinguished Club goals, where you have to achieve some of these awards along with level 1, 4 people achieving level 1 in Pathways, 2 people achieving level 2 in Pathways, 2 more people achieving level 2 in Pathways, 2 achieving level 3, 1 level 4, and 1 level 5. To accomplish Distinguished Toastmaster in Pathways, you have to complete 2 paths. And there's a variety of paths. If you go onto Toastmasters International website through the Pathways program. Among the other club goals, we want membership growth, which is 20 members or a net increase of 5 members during the year. And the year ends June 30th. So it goes from July 1st of the previous year to June 30th of the following year. 10 club goals, which I went over some of them, but 2 Competent Communicator Awards, 2 more Competent Communicator Awards, 1 Advanced Communicator Bronze, Advanced Communicator Silver or Advanced Communicator Gold, and then 1 more ACB, ACS, or ACG, 1 Competent Leader, ALB, ALS, or Distinguished Toastmaster, and then 1 more CL, ALB, ALS, or Distinguished Toastmaster. Then 4 new members during the year, and 4 more new members during the year, a minimum of 4 club officers that attend the officers meeting during 2 training periods. You have a summer, late summer, fall training period, and then you have a winter training period. And then the membership renewal period in October or April. If you have elections once a year, it's by October. If you have elections twice a year, then you have another renewal in April. Well, excuse me, I scratched some of what I'd said there. I kind of mixed some of that up. But moving on, recognition, Distinguished Club goals. Distinguished Club is 5 out of the 10 goals. A Select Distinguished, 7 out of the 10 goals. And President's Distinguished is 9 out of the 10 goals. So the Distinguished Club program explains the goals, the rules, and the club success plan. The club success plan tells each club how are they going to achieve all these goals during the year. And it allows the club to set additional goals, outlines strategies for achieving the goals, identifies the resources a club may use to help achieve goals, and has additional space to write in assignments to develop a timetable and track accomplishments. So the motivation, what is in it for me? Well, a healthy club means healthy members, and this means you. So not only occasionally giving speeches, you're encouraged to participate in as many aspects of Toastmasters as possible. It's not mandatory because each person has to accomplish goals on their own pace, but you're encouraged to accomplish as many goals as possible. Another aspect is to find new members. Again, as I said in the beginning, there's a lot of turnover in a typical Toastmasters Club. So we need to be constantly on the mission in one form or another to bring new members into a club. Achieve educational awards. Again, as I explained earlier, be trained as a club officer and submit the club officer list by the deadline. So everyone benefits from being in Toastmasters. New members means new ideas. New members means new personalities. Educational growth equals improved speaking. Educational growth equals improved leadership. And distinguished is equal to recognition. So you'd be recognized by the international community once you reach the distinguished club status. So once again, there are many goals as a speaker, as a leader, and as a club. So hopefully for Hilltoppers Toastmasters, at the end of June, when the lectern is relinquished, Hilltoppers will be distinguished. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Maurice, for that. Personally, I feel like when I walk out of the room at the end of the day, I often forget about our goals and just practicing speaking in general, but it's these goals that really help us to grow and improve, so it's very important. Thank you. Our next speaker is Gretchen, and she will be giving her icebreaker. Please welcome Gretchen. Our club members and learn more about them. So next, we will go to everybody's favorite part of the meeting, our table topics, which will be done by Justin.
Thanks, Heather. Fellow Toastmasters, I wanted to try something just a little different for this set of table topics rather than just going from the generic questions that come off the internet. So I'm going to pass this stack of paper around and ask that you take one sheet and write something down about yourself that you wouldn't expect anyone else to know. And then fold it in half and pass it back forward. Well, you be aware that we'll all know whatever the star sequence is.
It's like confession time.
It can be dark if you like. Just keep that one criteria in mind.
You just grab that again.
Write something that you wouldn't expect anyone else here to know about you. Just a little.
Okay.
Do we write our names on it?
No names. No names. Thank you for bringing that up.
Can I borrow that pen, please? Thank you.
So if you, oh, don't fold them up. Just fold them up. Just fold them in half one time and hand them up to me so they all look more or less the same.
And this is like personal something?
Whatever you think's appropriate.
Do it.
If you don't want to participate, that's fine.
What's that?
Hot dog or hamburger?
You know, it's hot, it's hamburger, yes, like this.
She gave you that.
I've never heard it described that way.
And I didn't know you were particular about your folding patterns.
Well, I just want to make sure I get it right.
Okay.
This is mine's the oddball out.
I think Justin has a good idea of your handwriting.
Oh, I just did one.
Thinking 5 steps ahead. That's what I expected mine to
He said no names, right?
No names.
No names.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Names will change to protect the guilty.
Is it, do we have to guess who it is now?
Maybe. That might have something to do with that.
There's a little known fact that you're not very good at this game.
No, and thank you for bringing that up. I should go ahead and explain rather than just have it be a surprise for the first person, so I'll have a little more even opportunity. So I'll ask someone to volunteer, and I'll give you someone's private information here, a little factoid about our peers here, and ask that you make a guess at who wrote that, and ask us, explain to the group why you think that person wrote that.
That's okay.
Oh, interesting.
Okay. Last one. All right, so I have a volunteer. Come on up. Diego.
Susan, can I see the be my timer? Sure. Thank you.
So Diego, who wrote that and why?
My fellow Toastmasters and honored guests, my statement is I performed a yo-yo trick at a family reunion. So I'm asked to determine who I think that person would do it and why. I'm going to hazard a guess that Cheyenne did this. Because this just sounds like a classic Cheyenne thing to do. I think in order to steal the show at a family reunion, I think this is something that she would engage in. And I don't think many other people here, if I had to guess among all of us here today, I would guess that Cheyenne is the most yo-yo enthusiast among us. That's my hypothesis. I'm going to turn it back to the Hilltoppers Master.
Does anyone want to claim the yo-yo?
That was me.
Okay. Another volunteer, please. All right, Lawrence. Who wrote this and why?
Fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. Someone here has a 21-year-old daughter. And if that would be something that was kind of unusual, then I think there's a few people in here we could probably lock out of that, because it wouldn't be unusual for them to have a 21-year-old daughter. My daughter is older than 21 years, so it's not me. Anyways, I would think that of the young folks that are in here, the one that might have a 21-year-old daughter would be... Good question. What's your name?
Christy.
Christy?
Why would you think that?
Well, I would say that the people that are in here that would be old enough to have a 21-year-old daughter, but at the same time would be unusually for them to have a 21 daughter, there's only like 2 or 3 people here. So I kind of just flipped a coin and said, you know, which one would it be? So please, I'm not being truculent here. I'm not trying to imply anything other than it was just basically a flip of a coin. So that is why I picked you.
I told y'all, I'm no good at this. You're right.
But it was you? Yeah, you were right.
Yeah. Well, lucky coin.
All right,
Maybe I
thank
need
you,
to buy a
Lawrence.
lottery ticket.
Very good. Good guess. Excellent. May I have another volunteer? All right, great. Cody? So who wrote this and why?
Okay. Auburn football fan that secretly watches Alabama for enjoyment. Oh, we have a closet Alabama fan. Actually, I do this too, especially this year because Auburn didn't do so well. How to choose. I know people's football. Legions. Go with Sean. Is that you? It is. That's
That's my name.
Was that your? Was that
That,
your?
that was mine.
Okay.
I was trying to like mess with you. It wasn't, yeah.
Well, I figured it was probably a guy to talk about football, so that kind of narrowed things down. I know Diego's not. Oh, are you from around here? I know you trapped. You know, you've been to school at other places and things.
Yeah, I would say I grew up here, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I knew you know, you went to a different college, not from Alabama. Justin, could have been Justin, but yeah, just thought I'd take a shot at our new guest, and yeah, got it right. Like Lawrence, I guess I need to go play the lottery as well. So thank you, Mr. April.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And that wouldn't have been me. I'm not a football guy. All right, may I have another volunteer, please? All right, come on up. Great.
Yep, let's see.
So who wrote this and why?
Right, this should be easy since I know everybody here. I have an ice cream flavor named after me at Annie's Gold Touch.
Oh, wow.
Let's see, Cheyenne. Because she seems like she is familiar with a lot of these local places. Probably did a comedy act up there. Named the ice cream after her. She did so well. Really don't know any of y'all, so I couldn't pick y'all. And that's it. Was it you?
Excellent, yes.
Way out of Florida, right?
That's
Right? What's the name of the ice cream place?
What's the name of the ice cream?
Cheyenne.
Yeah.
Probably Cayenne.
What's the name of the ice cream place?
It was for the Grinch contest, so I wrote this like really elaborate poem instead of just putting like random flavors, and yeah, 3 other people won too. So it's called Grinch Cheyenne.
Really? Do they still have it? Really?
That's what you see when you walk in.
Okay, excellent. That's great. All right, may I have another volunteer? Okay, Cheyenne. So Cheyenne, who wrote this and why?
Oh goodness. My statement tonight for the Toastmasters table topics. The statement that I've drawn is, I draw a blank when put on the spot, like I am with this exercise. Okay, so if I had to guess, I'm going to go off CSI tactics and look at handwriting and also blue pens.
Process of elimination.
Yes. I'm going to guess. Oh, maybe take it. Did you write this one? I really have no reasoning. I just guessed. You're a great speaker, and I just guessed because I thought I saw blue.
Yeah, I was going to ask that, which we have till 7:27, so let's do one more. 3 minutes. Another volunteer, please. Not all at once.
John Murphy.
All right, come on up. So Gretchen wrote this one.
My end of semester report in high school got my teacher a 90% on his master's thesis in criminal law. I think it was you, Lauren. I feel like I'm playing Clue. And I feel like it was Lauren because I don't think that's just a really off the wall thing. And hopefully that wouldn't happen like recently with any young people in this room. That I don't know. I don't know why I'm saying, but you. Was it you?
My teacher, we had to do the class was a class on criminal law. And the teacher was doing this, wanted to do this, this report. And when I told him the title of my report, he asked me if he could use it as part of his master's thesis in his class. And I told him yes. And then he said, well, if whatever score he got, I would get. And so I agreed to it. And the name of the report was Memoirs of a Drug-Crazed Hippie.
All right, well, thanks everybody for participating. Thanks for participating in something maybe a little outside of the box. Wanted to try something just a little bit different. So I'll hand it back to our Madam Toastmaster. Thank you.
Thanks, Justin. That was really creative and a lot of fun. Now we'll move on to our next portion of the meeting, which is the evaluation, the general evaluation, and our general evaluator is Miss Susan Murphy.
If I can get up. Thank you very much. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. I'm sorry to put this between me and you, but this is where my notes are. And distinguished guests.
Put it down so read it.
We don't go anywhere.
Okay.
I don't have a service or whatever. So tonight I am acting as the general evaluator. And I would like to say that I think that the entire meeting has gone so well. It seems to be lighthearted. As many people as are here, it just seems like everyone's participating in some fashion. And thank you, Justin, for helping us all participate with that very creative and sort of innovative table topics.
I found it on the internet.
You didn't have to tell me that. So I don't know if we're all happy or sad that we're going to be missing the next couple of meetings, or, you know, not next, but 2 meetings at the end of the year. But hopefully we'll all get past that and really enjoy our holidays in spite of not coming to Toastmasters. Let's see, excuse me. Maurice, enjoyed your distinguished club speech. Now this was on, you did both the old and the new versions of Toastmasters, correct?
Yes.
Which is very helpful for those of you who've been in the club for a while and you're still trying to get that the old way. And then many of us have already started Pathways. How many have started Pathways? Oh yeah, okay. So very helpful for those of us that need to know these things. So we got the nuts and bolts of Toastmasters and whatnot, and the award levels, and I guess I didn't realize that the club year was June 1st through July 1st through June 30th. So thank you for that tidbit of information. And we enjoy also getting to know Gretchen. Very, very fun to know the new people. Well, actually, you're not new. You've been here. When did you come on board?
I joined in the summer.
In the summer? Well, you are, yeah, you're new. So thank you for sharing your life. I know it's hard to get up and tell everything about yourself. It's a little intimidating, so thank you so much. And we've already talked about the table topics. That was really, really good and fun. And I'm glad you found it on the internet. And the whole thing about the deep, dark secrets, that was kind of a little intimidating at first, but that's kind of fun to think on the fly like that. And oddly enough, it seems like most of the ones were guessed correctly. But I think everyone did a nice job of doing their speeches and communicating what they needed to do. Okay, Lawrence, I am going to introduce you next so that you can talk about Maurice's speech.
Yes, as mentioned, the evaluator is supposed to evaluate a speech, and because we're here to learn how to do things better. So this is an opportunity for us to help the speaker to improve their ability to speak. So the traditional Toastmasters method is a sandwich method, which is you explain to them something that they did well, that they can really feel good about, and then you give them some advice on possible things that they could do better, and then you end it also on a good note so that they go away feeling happy at the end of the program. So Maurice did a Distinguished Club program, which is part of the Better Club series, is that correct?
Yes.
I think it's the Better Club series. And so there is a whole group of speeches that can be given through this series to help members understand the club better. So, there are many questions that came up. One of the first questions is, how effective was the speaker's introduction? Well, all in all, I really thought that he did a good job on his entire speech. I think that the way he gave his speech and the way that he presented everything, I think it was very well. I think we were able to learn a lot from this speech. But unfortunately, I think that it could have used a little bit stronger opening, because that's what's going to draw the people in. So it almost seemed like you jumped right into the speech without opening. But it was still very good. I didn't dislike that. I just didn't think it was a strong opening. I did also noted that you used a lot of notes. And I know those speeches are like 10 minutes long. And so they're very difficult to do without notes. But the Toastmaster asks if he used notes. I do think that he used a lot of good vocal variety. That's one of the high points of his speech, was especially on some of the topics that were important. He used a lot of vocal variety, changed his voice, changed the volume in order to make it clear that this was an important point. I thought that was also very good. He used very smooth and timely visuals. And one thing that I would like to mention about the visuals is, in the future, I think it would be much more proper, if we know we're going to be using visuals during a speech, that prior to the meeting, that we get to move the table off to the side a little bit, where the visuals will be available for everyone to see. Because when you're standing here in front of the visuals, then you get to see a little over here and a little over here and maybe over here if you're far enough back. But if you're sitting close by, you don't get to see much of anything. So that would be a little bit something that I would change. Again, I think that you did a very good job on the speech. I also think that you spoke very clearly and used vocal variety in a very good manner. Madam Evaluator.
Thank you very much. Next, we'll be hearing from our second evaluator, which is Cody.
I have the pleasure tonight to evaluate Gretchen's first speech. It's always the hardest. Trust me, it's easier from this point forward. So she's speaking from the new pathways, so I have a nice formatted form for evaluating her speech. So what you excelled at, I thought your vocal variety was great. You changed pitch and speed, and it really kept my attention. I think that's probably one of your really good strengths. And I have trouble with that. I need to change my voice more. And it was your first speech, but you seemed pretty confident. And maybe it's doing a couple of table topics and things like that, and getting used to us. But you didn't seem nervous to me, which was really good as well. And you had an interesting content. Of course, it's about yourself, so everyone can talk well about yourself. But the story flowed well, and it had a nice beginning and middle and ending. I thought it was a well put together icebreaker. This is something you might want to work on. So I noticed you used some notes, which is fine for your first speech, especially you're a little bit nervous and it's hard to get up here and think, well, if I miss something, at least I have my notes. It wasn't really distracting, but I think it would enhance your speech in the future because you can make eye contact with people longer and kind of get more audience awareness. But all in all, it was fine, especially for your first one. And then to challenge yourself, so maybe next time, try to rely a little less on notes, maybe just some bullet points or things like that. And that just comes with practice and time. And maybe practice a few more times with the speech so you feel more comfortable. But great first speech, like I said. You had a really good pace, very clear, and your vocal variety kept my attention, and you seemed comfortable. And I have a breakdown of kind of the different points of the speech, but I won't get into that due to time. But great job, Gretchen. Thank you for your speech.
Next, we'll get a report from the timer. Diego, could you do that?
Thanks, Susan. For the prepared speech section of our meeting, Maurice spoke for a total amount of 12 minutes and 55 seconds. Gretchen spoke for 6 minutes and 3 seconds. For our table topic section of the meeting, I spoke for 45 seconds. Lauren spoke for 1 minute and 35 seconds. Cody spoke for 1 minute and 25 seconds. Christy spoke for 39 seconds. Cheyenne spoke for 59 seconds. And Gretchen spoke for 52 seconds. For the general evaluation portion of our meeting, Susan, you've spoken for a cumulative amount of 3 minutes and 34 seconds. Lawrence's evaluation lasted 3 minutes and 41 seconds. And finally, Cody's evaluation lasted for 2 minutes and 4 seconds. That's the times report.
Thank you very much, Diego. Okay, now we'll hear from the all counter, Cheyenne.
The first speech, the first speech, Maurice didn't have no filler words. Second speech, there was one and one that was it, so that was great. Table topics, you said one and after that I kind of lost it with the topics. Sorry about that. For the general eval, there was one and one and then for Lawrence's eval, there was nothing, and Cody's eval, there was nothing.
Thank you, and Marion, word of the day.
Cheyenne did not use the, okay, I'm going, so Cheyenne, Diego, Gretchen, and Cody did not do the word of the day. Lawrence did it once. Heather did it once as well. Maurice, Susan, and Justin did not use it as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. And that concludes the general evaluation.
Hey, great. Susan, I just want to kind of say that I agree with you that this meeting has really gone pretty well, and we have a pretty full group tonight, and we're really happy that we have our guests out here tonight. And I also want to say briefly that Toastmasters is really a great place to learn how to speak better and to learn communication, leadership skills, and everybody here is really supportive. So thank you for coming tonight. And with that, I will relinquish the lectern back to our president, Cody.
Diego, you had an educational overview?
I do.
Okay. Let's welcome Diego. He's going to give us our education.
Thanks, Cody. I hope what I want to share with everyone constitutes educational overview. I remember a few months ago, our previous president, Thomas Chester, took this opportunity to talk about the merits and values and skills that one gains from being a Toastmasters member. And so I wanted to take this opportunity to share a little bit about what skills and values I think I have learned from Toastmasters. And I really hope that for the guests in the room, hopefully you are seeking these types of values and skills as well. And hopefully if you decide to join us in our Toastmasters journey, I hope something that I share with you all today might be a factor in that decision. When I joined Toastmasters this year, in January of this year, I was again, like, a big area of concern for me when it came to public speaking was whenever it comes to presentation, having the question and answer session of a meeting. That was probably the most scariest moment that I've ever had, more so than a prepared speech. It was the idea of having someone ask me a question that I don't think I had the answer to. And so when I joined Toastmasters and I learned about the table topics portion of our meeting, I realized that that type of exercise would really teach me the skills I would need in order to engage and be a good responder to the Q&A session of any presentation that I'm a part of. Since I'm involved with environmental science and I'm going to be a scientist in the future, I know that there will be many Q&A sessions in my future that involve technical discussions on many different science topics. And so it is for that reason that I think table topics was really an important reason why I decided to join Toastmasters. I recently gave a professional speech last Thursday at a conference called Bays and Bayou Symposium that is led by the Mobile National Estuary Program. And I can honestly say with confidence that if it hadn't been for Toastmasters, I wouldn't have been prepared for giving that 15-minute speech and being ready to answer questions. Fortunately, my collaborator on the project was aware and ready to answer the questions that were given to us at our speech, but I'm very confident that if it weren't for, if she weren't ready to answer those questions, I would have been able to step to the plate and answer those questions, thanks to table topics specifically, and that is a skill that I've been learning and exercising at Toastmasters. So public speaking is an important skill that I think I've been learning thanks to Toastmasters here. I think two other skills that I've been learning in Toastmasters that have come up serendipitously, or something that I wasn't expecting, was learning how to run an effective meeting more properly, and also learning how to communicate more one-on-one with my supervisors. I am now wrapping up a grant proposal period that we're applying for on Wednesday, and since I was the spearheader, I was the leader on this grant, I have frequently been having to touch base with my lab supervisor and giving her regular updates on, okay, this part of the grant is done, we're ready to turn this part of the grant in, now we're going to move on to this section. And if it weren't for Toastmasters, I don't think I would be able to have learned the skills it needs to effectively communicate to my supervisor, okay, this is the communication I want to share with you, this is the information I want to share with you, and these are the next steps going forward. I think our previous acting president explained it very succinctly that many of many of the main messages you want to communicate to your supervisor in any professional setting is, listen, we've got everything under control. There's no need to panic. I want you to focus on other things because I and my team have got this under control. And I think Toastmasters has been teaching me that important aspect in many ways. The final skill that I want to share with you all that I think Toastmasters has been teaching me is learning how to run a meeting more effectively. In order to accomplish these grant deadline proposals, it has come down to organizing a meeting and setting up an agenda and communicating to everyone, okay, these are the things that we're going to talk about in this meeting. This is the timeline of the meeting. And these are the next steps that we need to make sure everyone is aware of. And we need to make sure everyone is assigned action items that should be completed by the next meeting. And I think if it weren't for Toastmasters and learning about the agendas that are set up before every meeting, I wouldn't have a good agenda framework that would inform me as to what I want to communicate to the team, what I want to communicate to the lab supervisor. So to wrap up, those are the 3 important values that I think Toastmasters has taught me that I hope everyone here is looking to learn or serendipitously might learn in the future. And those are not being scared of giving public presentations and being ready to answer the Q&A session. Learning how to communicate effectively in a succinct manner to your supervisors at work. These are the things that I've accomplished, and these are the things that will be accomplished at the next time I speak with you. And finally, setting up an effective meeting that lays out, these are the things we're going to discuss. This is the timeline that we're going to discuss these items. And these are the action items that we will set for everyone in attendance for the meeting that is expected of everyone to complete at the next meeting. That is my educational overview that I wanted to share with everyone today. And I'm going to turn it back to the acting president.
And right on time, so we'll now end the meeting. Thank you, everyone.